Australia is on track to produce its biggest wheat harvest in 4 years after big downpours in the eastern states boosted production. The Australian Crop Forecasters has raised its expectations for the 2010 crop by 5% to 23.4 million tonnes. Much of that will be sold to emerging markets where demand is growing rapidly. Alicia Barry reports.
The bumper harvest could not have come at a more opportune time for local grain growers. Russian exports have been banned after drought and wildfire ravaged crops, and more recently the US Department of Agriculture cut its forecasts by over 5%. And it's not the only farm commodity in demand. Growing affluence is changing people's tastes. The pursuit of a Western lifestyle means a Western diet.
As they get more money, they can get into the better cuts of meat, whereas originally they might have had bones and sinew, whereas now they're starting to get into the meat.
And smelling opportunity, producers from across the country are getting their heads together. Australian meat and livestock exporters are hoping Australia's clean green brand will set it apart. But they're not the only ones. The University of Adelaide's Kim Anderson says Australia needs to invest in more research and development to remain competitive.
We do have a number of competitors abroad now who are investing heavily in agricultural R&D, such as Brazil, and they're becoming major exporters. They've just eclipsed Australia as the world's biggest beef exporter.
Producers are also contending with increasing demand for ethically or sustainably grown food, a trend set to continue as awareness grows about how food is getting from the farm to the plate, which Kim Anderson says adds to the cost of the production process.
Some of our R&D funding is being diverted just for that purpose alone, which is reducing our investment share that goes to things like raising yields. So that's an additional pressure that we have to bear, but without bearing it, if it's the case that supermarkets are going to demand this more sustainable production, then we won't have sales at all if we can't meet that consumer demand.
One opportunity that some farmers are leveraging off the green movement is carbon storage. Mike Wake is growing corridors of trees on 10% of his property, which he leases to a group who use them for carbon credits. He says there are a number of benefits.
And it can add value, we believe, in 3 ways. One is if you rent it as an income stream, which will drought-proof it. Secondly, if we planted the trees ourselves, which we do have the opportunity to do, but we would have to fund it, and then we create the ability to sell the carbon sequestration benefits ourselves. And thirdly, I believe it will enhance the value of our properties.
A movement that could see more investment when there is an official carbon trading scheme in place.
When emitters, large emitters in Australia are actually become legally liable for their carbon emissions, then there will be a inherent demand, and then of course on top of that you really need a price on carbon.
Of course, such regulatory certainty is a job for the government and its new Minister for Climate Change.